your DBs versus UCF receivers versus your DBs versus Washington receivers? What's different? What's the same?
Very similar in the fact that we're facing a lot of speed. You know, these guys can fly, and they do a great job from the standpoint of they spread the field. Their offense tries to create as much space as possible to get these guys the ball in their hands with space to maneuver and make guys miss with the ball in their hands. And so we've got to do a tremendous job from the standpoint of obviously taking away that space when we get the opportunity, setting edges, and making sure that we eliminate as much of that space for those guys to maneuver as we possibly can. And that comes from either whether it's our technique as DBs, whether we're in pass coverage, if we are responsible for setting an edge from a defensive standpoint, and we have to do a tremendous job of tackling an open space. And all those things are very similar to what we just faced from the standpoint of our week one opponent and those receivers that they have out there that are very talented with the ball in their hands as well. Pass concept, pass schemes are different. Just like every offense you see, or everyone's going to have their favorite concept, so that's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, they've got playmakers at the receiver position, very similar to what we just faced, obviously, at the University of Washington.
From everything we've heard, you know, the players have kind of taken last week personally. I know after the game, you know, in his media statements, Tubner gave a pretty impassioned statement about, you know, how, you know, you guys are going to keep fighting no matter what the score is. How pleased have you been, especially with the secondary, you know, after Saturday's performance, how they've responded?
No, I'm very blessed to have the group that I have, and I knew coming out of that game that they were only going to respond one way, which was going to be the right way. They know what it takes to continue to fight, as Tubes had said, that this thing is not about one play, not about one game, it's a process. And we're in the midst of that process. And these guys are going to compete every single day, and that's what's awesome about this group. They're going to take from what just happened and learn from it, whether it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We're all about, okay, what's next? How do we continue to get better? And as long as they keep on that mindset, continue to grow the way they will, it's going to be we'll get the end results that we all want. But it is a process, and it's not going to be overnight that we get that bad taste out of our mouth, but at the same time, we know that, hey, we're going to buckle down and put forth the work that we need in order to make the changes that we have to.
A lot of times when the film shows a safety running after a wide open guy, and it looks like he's the guy to blame. I know there's a lot more that goes into it from the D-line or the mixed coverage or whatever, but overall, I guess from the safety perspective, how do you think you guys did play against Washington?
Just not consistent enough. I thought we played very well for probably a quarter and a half. And that's against a very good offense, a really good quarterback, a very great offensive scheme, and a receiving core that's going to be tough to top at the end of the day. But it's always about us and how we can improve, how we can get better, and how we can learn from those other 2.5 quarters that we didn't play well. And a lot of it just comes from small little details, whether it's a technique, whether it's something within the scheme, pre-snap communication. There's so many small little details that go into playing this position. And our guys understand that and know that. And that's why they love it, because it is a razor's edge that we live on, where one play you can be a hero, and in the very next play, points. And so that's why we have to prepare the way we prepare every single day in order to handle those small things and create the big things that we want.
What's the biggest challenge for you guys with a quarterback that runs and looks like he likes to run a lot versus like last week Penix wanted to stay in the pocket? So what challenges do you have, and what is, I guess, your guys' responsibility if he decides to run?
Yeah. First and foremost, we got to cover our guys. And that's the hardest part sometimes when you know you have an athletic quarterback, a guy that can hurt you with his feet the way this guy can. You are always in the back of your mind thinking, I've got to go and get this guy down. But your first responsibility is your pass coverage. And we've got to do a tremendous job of making sure when he does get out of the pocket that we handle our responsibility first, whether if it's man-to-man or zone, I plaster to the nearest man. And then from there, okay, if I've got secondary contained responsibilities, I can go get this guy pulled up and get him on the ground as soon as I can. But we have to be responsible in the back end to make sure we plaster to our nearest guy.
You look at a guy like Alexander Tubner, and I don't know if there's any way to sum up what you guys asked him to do in your guys' defense, but I mean, at one play, you know, he's filling a run gap pretty physically, and a couple plays later, he's diving to knock out a ball 55 yards away, you know, at the goal line. How much you guys, ask for that position and ask for Tubner?
That's why the safety position within our defense is so fun to play. It is also why there's a lot of responsibility on us, because we have to have the ability to stop the run at the line of scrimmage to help make sure we get that done first and foremost. But then also, by the way, you've got to make sure nothing gets behind you either. And so that is, like I said, it's a razor's edge that we live on every single play. And so understanding that responsibility and making sure that you handle all of those little details within every single play, within your techniques, within the coverage assignments. It's a lot of stuff, but our guys are capable of handling that. Tubner in particular is shown that he is very capable, more than capable of being that guy for us, and we just got to do it on a consistent basis across the board.
Whether it be the amount of plays on defense or special teams, I think the volume of the snaps suggests how important he is to your team. What did he do good on Saturday, and where do you think he might be able to, take another step?
There was a lot of good things to take from Saturday, from the standpoint how physical he played at the line of scrimmage. Very good as far as coming downhill and making the tackles that we needed him to make. Did a good job as far as just his coverage skills, and when he was matched up on some of those number 2 wide receivers, those slot receivers that are very good, he did a great job of holding up in that situation, playing the deep post, playing the deep half. We ask our guys to do a lot, and he showed that he has the capability of doing all of it. There's still plenty of growth there for him from a standpoint of whether it's just a small little detail within his technique that's going to help him continue to be more consistent. Little things here and there from a communication standpoint to make sure, again, all 11 guys on our defense are all on the same page. And that's a big part of what we do as well in the safety position is we quarterback it back there. And we have to make sure all 11 guys are on the same page as us. And that's a big responsibility that I feel like Tubner and Rod can handle. But it's a lot. And we got to continue to emphasize with them every day how consistent we have to be in order for our defense to be consistent.
No takeaways in that game against Washington. I mean, I know you had one ball on the ground couldn't get, but how, I know it's common sense, but how badly do you guys need takeaways when it's going to be a close competitive game like Saturday will be?
Huge. Takeaways are absolutely, we understand that the success of our team is all about the ball. Whether it's offensively holding on to that thing or defensively taking it away from their offense to give our offense more opportunities. And so not getting takeaways is something that we just can't, that's not up to our standard. And our guys understand that, and so this week we've really tried to go back and emphasize that as much as we possibly can. When the ball's in the air, we got to attack it. When the ball's in the ball carrier's hands, we got to know where it is and attack it as well. And so we know and understand that any football team across the country knows how important takeaways are from the standpoint of just winning percentage at the end of the day.
Rodney obviously didn't have his best game on Saturday, but where do you want his growth to be? Where do you guys need him to be better this week?
Rodney's just got to make sure, again, he handles his job, his responsibility first and foremost. That's everybody across the board. They all have to be more consistent with just doing their job first and foremost. Rodney's a guy that tries that knows that he has to help quarterback this thing, and sometimes can get caught up in doing too much. And trust me, as a former safety, I found myself trying to do too much a lot as well. And so him and I have had those conversations where just do your job, that's all it takes, and allow the plays to come to you. And if he focuses on that, focuses on his 111th, he'll be just fine. When
you look at last year, kind of similar situation in the opener, you guys got beat over the top, came back, led the Mountain West in pass defense. How do you, what lessons can you pull from that, and kind of what was the key behind the turnaround, do you think, last year after that first game?
I think every team, when you look at just growth in general, that's what you're trying to do all year long, right? From game 1 to game 2, there should be significant growth based on what you saw, because it is really your first time with that particular group, that particular team. So you get an opportunity to evaluate, okay, are we on the right track? Make tweaks and changes that you need to, and make sure that you just have that sense of urgency to grow. And that's the biggest thing that I feel like our team has, and this group in particular as a secondary has, is that mindset of growth. It's a growth mindset that every day I can come in here and find a way to improve, find a way to get better. We're going to continue to just grow, take the steps, move on, next play mentality, and we'll see on Saturday as far as where that growth takes us.
Spencer Danielson on Monday, I take full responsibility. It's my fault. It was too easy for them. I need to do a better job. This is your 3rd year with Spence. Just the dude he is to come up there at the podium and just deflect everything on him. Your name's on this thing too. Like,
100%.
What do you think about that? Spence doing that?
He doesn't need to do that, but does not surprise me. That's who Spencer Danielson is, and that's what makes this group in particular defensively, just our entire family as a football program. That's what makes us special, is because we're all in this thing together. And we have guys in those leadership roles that will be accountable and take ownership to whatever happens on those Saturdays. No different. It's 100% to your point, just as much on me as it is Spencer Danielson. just as much as everybody else that has any type of hand in this program, we all are going to take ownership for our particular roles that need to be better. I know my role, I need these DBs in our secondary to play better going forward. And I've got to take ownership for that. And as a leader, seeing Spencer take ownership for that just makes us all look at each other and go, yeah, we all need to take ownership for our role in this thing and make sure that we all be better at the end of the day.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
Kane. Appreciate you, man.